Hey, this is Greg over DIY RV and Home Camper's Life. Just finished up installing our new set of steps. We got a set of the Torklift GlowStep Revolutions and installed them. Tell you what, install, breeze, functionality, wonderful. So without further ado, let's jump in. Let's see how we installed them. Alright, first thing we're going to have to do is go ahead and remove the nuts and bolts. Now the old hardware that was on there was a carriage bolt with a nut on the back side. For us, we were lucky enough that none of them were obstructed to where we had to remove or manipulate anything out of the way to get to the nuts and bolts. All I did was remove all the nuts initially, got them out of the way, and then once they were off, then I went and held the steps in place while I started to push the old carriage bolts out. Once they were out, you can see it just dropped down fairly easy. Now it's time to get those flimsy monstrosities out of the way. And here are the new steps that I'm going to be installing. Just doing a quick look at it. Powder coated steel frame construction, stainless steel hardware and stainless steel brackets, along with aircraft aluminum treads, a couple of spacers if needed. They're 1/4 inch each. We have a very detailed instruction manual along with all the hardware needed to fix these stairs in place, and an Allen wrench. You got a keeper there to keep the locking mechanism in place. And each step has 2 reflective glow-in-the-dark stickers on them. They'll last up to 10 hours at night with 5 minutes of light. Our landing legs with our altering feet, as you can see, it wobbles. And those are adjustable up to 5 positions individually, so for uneven ground, they work excellent. And you can see how big that pad is. Now what I'm doing here is going to be removing the treads because I'm putting this in by myself. And when they shipped it, it came with bolts on either end to keep the locking mechanism in place. So I just released the locking mechanism so that I can gain access to the bolts and nuts to remove the steps. If you are going to be doing this solo and removing the treads, make sure you read the instructions and know which 2 bolts to remove. This bolt also has a bushing and a couple washers, so you want to make sure you put it all back in the same place and you keep track of it all, of course. And right here what I'm doing is I'm just putting it all back onto the bolt, putting the nut back on, and I'm putting it in the order that it came off. That way I can remember to put it back in the proper position. Bring the frame over. And now I'm going to go ahead and measure my opening, the inside to inside, where the steps are going, and it is 25.5 inches. Now I'm going to measure the frame of the steps, and it comes back to be 25 inches. So those 2 spacers that I showed you are going to be required to fit this. Here they are, and they come with a double-sided stick tape on them to help on the install. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and grab a couple of the bolts that come with the kit and use those as alignment pins. Once they're firmly attached, then I was able to go ahead and install the frame to the trailer. Just a little bit of wiggling to get it to fit up there. nice and tight. Went ahead and just started sticking the bolts through temporarily. Got one in, and then I was able to put the other one in. Once I did that, then I went back and started to put the washers and lock washers on the bolts, getting everything ready to permanently attach. So for the install, it was a bolt washer, then it went through the brackets, another flat washer along with the lock washer, and then the nut. So after I had everything mocked up and made sure it was all going to work properly, went ahead and took some Loctite, and this is just medium strength Loctite. It's not required, but I like using it, especially on stuff that vibrates a lot. So I went ahead and put that on each bolt and nut, and then tighten them down to torque spec. Once torqued, I just went ahead and finished the rest of them. Now it's time to install these steps. So I went ahead and just opened them up a little bit just to allow them to be closer to the holes. Took the bolts and the spacers and everything that I removed earlier and reinstalled them in the correct position. And per the instructions, I'm going to snug these bolts up, and then once they are snug, I'm going to go ahead and loosen the nut up 1/4 turn, and that should give the proper tension and allow those to move freely. Now once that's done, I went ahead and released the pin, and I'm going to go ahead and put the steps away, stow them. There it is. I'm going to go ahead and put the lock pin in place. Now let's go ahead and try them out real quick. Pull the pin, lift up on the locking lever, raise it, and we will pull them out. There it is, folks. Got her done, got her installed. Simple project. 4 bolts to pull the old ones off, 4 bolts to put the new ones on, and about 45 minutes of actual time doing the job. What do I think? They feel solid. They honestly do feel solid. But that's for another video. Next video, we are going to be going over the features of the GlowStep Revolutions, along with our thoughts and opinions on them. So you have to wait for the next video to catch that. But until then, if you like the video, please hit the like button, subscribe and share. And of course, until the next one, happy camping.